Oh, look. Oh, there we go. Yep. There we go. Alright, so what do you need to fish for striped bass with lures in the SF Bay area? The main thing people use out here are swim baits. With a swim bait, you're going to need the actual swim bait themselves. They come in packs like this. I usually use power bait. They got good action. Different sizes. I like to use either white or this one. I believe it's called base melt. If you look it up on Amazon, I think that's the color of this type. It kind of in the water, it looks like a smelt or an anchovy or something. Those work really good. When halibut is around, I like these guys. These ones are called tiger pattern, I think. But these, I've caught a lot of halibut. If I'm fishing for striped bass and I'm throwing these and these, throwing, nothing's hidden, and I know halibut is in season, I'll throw these on and I'll just start popping them off the bottom. And I've caught a lot of halibut with these ones. But this is probably my favorite for striped bass. If the water is clear like today, if it's a little more murky, you're going to want to use something white like that. I think these might be glow in the dark too, but they got a nice little shine to them. But with the swim bait, you're also going to have to get jig hooks, which are just like this. I like to use a 1/8 ounce, or if I want something a little lighter, 1/16. With these, to rig these up, you're gonna have to stick that through the head and around like that. So basically, to measure it, at first I'll go like that, see how far I'm gonna want to put it, and then I'm gonna put my thumb, I'm gonna mark that spot. Then you just go through, it's about here. Push that through, try not to break any of the eyes off. Sometimes you can accidentally pop an eye off. But just like that. And from that point on, you can either tie your lines here, which I don't really like to do unless I don't have the other stuff to do it, or you can use these guys here, which are called snap swivels. They're kind of like swivel clamps, but less hardware. The swivel clamps have a barrel swivel on them, and then the little clamp attached to it, like a bobby pin kind of thing. I don't really like those because it's too long, too much hardware, leaves like a bunch of metal like this much longer on your hook. So I like to tie straight on from my leader line onto these, and then from that you can just snap on and off any kind of lure you want. I'll let these planes pass real quick. Now sometimes you'll buy a jig head, you'll realize these snap swivels aren't fitting through the tiny hole, which is actually a really big problem. You might need to buy these little rings, and from that you would put a ring onto here, and it would be ultimately secured forever onto this jig head, and then you would attach the swivel clamp onto the ring instead of that. Adds a little more hardware, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. This little case, by the way, Amazon, I think it was really cheap, like 15 bucks. Waterproof, key shine, I'll try to leave a link for that. But these are nice, I use it just for my swim bait hookups. Along with the swivel clamps and your lures, you're gonna want these little barrel swivels. What you're gonna do with those is, you can see I have my regular braid. I'll do like a 15-pound braid, and then you attach a barrel swivel on the end of your braid, and then from there you'll do a nice leader line. I have this here, this is some cheap shit, 17-pound. It'll work, but usually you want to buy a spool of some nice stuff, some 20-pound, which is here, what I have on right now. I just don't have the spool with me. But you'll do braid to swivel to leader line, and then from there on, I like to tie just directly to this swivel clamp. And then from there, you can pop this off, pop it on, put whatever you want on it. Okay, along with that whole setup to get your line going, you're gonna want pliers. If you're using treble hooks, like I like to use these jerk baits. as you can see, they'll get you. I had to go to the ER once to get one of these out because the fish will shake on you, and ugh, I got PTSD from that. You're gonna want pliers to get this thing off safely so that fish doesn't shake on you. And I like to have a hook sharpener just to spice up my hooks a little bit whenever I need to. You're gonna want a tape measure. I got this from West Marine. It's a little one, so you know 18 inches striped bass, 22 I think, or 23 for halibut this year round. It's a little rusty, but it works. It's small, keep it in any pocket. I'm a big advocate of this Procure inshore saltwater super gel. Use it all the time. If you're gonna plan on keeping your fish, you're gonna want, this is called a Fishing Priest. I got this off Amazon. It's Booms Fishing. This is to knock them out, and then you can, this one has like a little pocket in here. You can put whatever you want in there. I put a few little ball weights in there just to give it an extra oomph. I don't use those weights, those are for freshwater, but just gives it a little more weight. After you knock that fish out, you're gonna immediately wanna have a fillet knife to cut that thing out. It's gonna keep your meat a lot fresher. It gets the blood out, keeps the meat from spoiling as fast, keeps the meat fresher, better tasting. It's just the best way to do it. Only way, once you start doing it, I can't do it any other way. If you want, you can have a net, you can drag them up to shore, but me, I'm always in waders, so I always keep this on me so I can scoop them up, secure the fish faster, less chance of it getting away, and if you're releasing a fish, it's a lot more kind to do, less stressful on the fish. So, swim baits, those are the little rubber ones that you're gonna need a jig hook with to use, and whatever other gear you want. You could ghetto rig it, just jig hook, tie it straight on, whatever you want, but I like to do it with the whole leader line, swivel and swivel clamps, the whole shebang. But today we're not going to talk so much about swim baits. This is the easiest way, the #1 way. If the fish are around and you get this in front of them, you have a good chance of them just biting it. That's just what most people do, swim baits. But today we're going to be focusing more on jerk baits and topwater. So this is a jerk bait. Usually they have 2 or 3 treble hooks on these guys. Jerk bait, some smaller jerk baits. So with jerk baits, they already usually have action to them. You just gotta reel them. They'll swim in the water. They usually have beads inside to make a little noise. Usually have a little spoon on front to make it dive. Different spoons, different angles, different depths. You just gotta get to know what you're working with, how to use them. They're all jerk baits. This one here is a Lucky Craft surf pointer, kind of like a Kalisa, if you know what that is. Same kind of coloring. This one has a pink bottom, white on the sides, black dots, blue on top. This is by far my favorite. I've caught the most striped bass off this. You just gotta reel it, yank it around, jig it, jerk it, and that makes it flutter when you jerk it randomly. When you're reeling it, it just swims, and then you give it a jerk and it does a kind of randomized flutter that looks really natural. This is by far my favorite jerk bait. You can get it out really far. That's one of the reasons why you want to use a jerk bait. It's heavier, hard plastics versus a soft plastic swim bait. These are Yuzuri Prisms. They're a little smaller. I've caught some nice fish off these. These feel really good. When you have a fish on, it's such a small little weight, it's like a swim bait. They hit it, they're on, you're straight connected from the tip of your pole down the line into the fish's mouth. It's a good, fun fight. Oh, there we go. You got it? Yeah. See? Oh, yeah. Fight. Yeah. You just cannot cast these things far, but they have good action. They drop to the bottom. If you let them sit, you can fish for halibut and pop off the bottom. But of course, with all jerk baits, you're risking snagging with all these treble hooks, especially if it sinks to the bottom. So it's always nice to know the area you're fishing in. So like I said, today we're focusing on poppers, topwater, and jerkbaits. This is a heat-in popper. This is the most common popper. You have these ones, you have heat-in juniors, which are these small ones here. Typical colors would be white and a darker color. This is my favorite popper. I've caught the most off of it. You can see a fish already broke off this hook when I was trying to get it off, but I just run it. I figure it's easier for them to swallow that. Poppers are fun, but it's only good to use these when it's cold out or not too hot, because once it gets a little hot, the fish go deeper. And then you're gonna wanna switch to a swim bait or jerkbait at that point. But if you see fish jumping, striped bass feeding, jumping out of the water, go ahead and throw one of these on. It might not increase your chances as much as using something else, but it's a lot more fun when you see the fish jump out, smack it. Procure with the poppers, they sit on top, so usually I'll just lace up the bottom with any hook. I'll dip a little bit, squirt some on these little rings on the hooks. Maybe that makes them bite there, who knows. But yeah, that's what I'll do with these. They sit on the top. You just walk them around, pull them slowly, walk them, pull them. It's a fun way to fish if you are out there at the right time for it. So I can see out there right now, a few of them just jumping out at the end. So I'm going to switch to a popper, some topwater, heat in. Usually just goop up the rings where the hook's attached, get the bottom, because the rest is going to be floating. It's going to leave a nice scent trail. So I just saw one fatty jump all the way out there, just about as far as I can cast with this thing. Oh no, what the hell was that? Something happened. Just run it. Maybe there's one up close. Keep your line as taut as you can and just yank, take line, reel, yank, reel, yank, reel, yank, reel, yank. I'll usually bounce it and then I'll just reel it straight, bounce it, reel straight. The trick with poppers is your line's always going to be a little slack, so you have to minimize that as much as you can. Almost with all lures, you always want to point towards your lure when you're reeling, but it's more important with the popper. And no joke, right when these things hit, you want to set it, or else they're just going to take it under and spit it out. And usually when you get a hook set on these, it's really nice, right on their lip. There you go, take in that slack line. Get it as tight as you can, even though it's still going to be a little loose. That's why you want to point it towards the lure, to minimize that slack line as much as you can. A lot of times when you're surface fishing like this, and there's a lot of fish around, you can see the nose, you can see them swimming around your bait, following it seconds before they hit. If you do happen to see that, you can slow down your cadence a little bit, play with it, stay in the immediate area. Oh, look. Oh, there we go. Yep. There we go. He went twice for that one. Came back for seconds. Oh, he's dipping and diving. Let him play around. If you know the area, be mindful of the rocks underneath, especially if you're fishing with treble hooks. With poppers, you don't want to let them jump out of the water, shake their head, they'll spit that. So when they get up, you give it, put your pole down, let it go back down. And when they run, don't let them run too close to the ground, keep them high. Let them run, but keep them high, not too high where they jump out. Walk back to my net. You always want to keep that momentum going. You never want to let it slow down, stop, shake. You always want to keep dragging it left or right, or keep that tension. And then with some more. And like I said, they usually hook them right on the lips, just like that. It's a pretty heavy boy. It's hard to get my pole around. There we go. Take it to the shore. Look at that, that's a big guy there. Probably 25, 26 inch. Let's see how I'm gauging. Get this hook out of here. See, look at that hook set. These poppers, I'll get them right on the lip. Even this treble hook yesterday, fish took off one of them, one of the little barbs, and I'm still running two. Let's see what this guy's at. But I'd say if I straighten him out, 24.5 inches. Look at that. It's a nice looking fish. Re-up on some of that juice. Whenever the striped bass are around, you want to get back in the water as soon as possible, because most of the time it's just a school coming through and you're gonna get them while they're here and then they're gonna be gone. So you want to make quick haste. Alright, so now that we know the popper is working, and that thing hit pretty close, so I know I don't have to cast out all the way out there where I see them jumping. So now I know today I don't have to worry about seeing them jump. They might just be there right underneath, even if I can't see them. It's always a good feeling when you know you're doing something right and you can just continue on. And you were able to see how aggressive they are. He hit it, missed it, not even a problem. He came right back for seconds. And that's the reason why when you're in waders like me, even when it's right in front of you, you can keep it going. If you don't have a stringer and you need one for the fish, I'll take a nice 20-pound test line, something like that. Cut a good piece off, fold it in half so it's double. Feed it right through the mouth there. And I'll just tie a regular knot, double knot, triple knot, whatever you want. As long as it's tight. Then you come down to the end here and you're going to want to make a loop knot. So to do that, you take your end right there, grab it, make a loop, flip it around inside twice, pull straight, and boom, you have a loop. Touch your handle. Nice strong test. It's not going to break off. There you go. Oh yeah. That's what we want. Come on, fish. Oh, come on. Oh, look, one of the hooks broke. Fuck. That's it. Only 26 inches. 27 maybe. It's fucking fat though. Look at that thing. Man. Jerkbaits kind of do their own thing. This is a Lucky Craft surf pointer. It's one of my favorites, kind of like a Kalisa, if you know what that is. But if you can see that, all you got to do is reel, and it swims by itself. You can put some jerking action on it, and they flutter. There's little beads in this one, so it rattles. But it dives only to a certain point. They all have different depths that they dive to based on little shovel on the nose there, whatever that's called. But basically these are good because you can just cast out and reel in, and I just like to do little motions like this. And what this looks like underneath the water when I yank it, it's kind of like a randomized flutter. And usually every time I hit that, when a fish bites it, it's right after I flutter it and it gets to a standstill, but I keep the line tight still. Reel, jerk, jerk, reel, jerk. It's a jerk bait. So one of the main reasons why I would switch from a topwater to a jerk bait right now is because the water is getting higher. It's going about 1.5 feet every hour. So it's a good tide push, that's what you want. Going from -1 feet to +7 feet. I got out here at 3 foot going up, so every hour it's going up about 1.5 feet. That means it's also bringing in the schools of fish, but it also means the water is getting deeper quicker, so I want to get my lure down in the water a little deeper. Because once again the sun's coming out, the fish are going to stop feeding off the top and just start snatching stuff off the bottom. One of the main things with the jerkbait, you just got to know what kind of lure you're using, what kind of depth it goes to. With this one I know it goes a few feet below the surface, but if I reel high and yank up like that, it tops out and it heads towards the top of the water. So you can cover different depths. If I'm just doing this, it's staying kind of in the middle, and then I do this and it goes to the top. That's also how you'll avoid snags and rocks if you know the geography of what you're fishing. Oh yeah, right in front. There we go. Barely hooked that one. That's decent. Another guy. Seaweed got a little bit. Oh, yep, there we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Oh yeah. Stay on there, boy. around this rock. Oh no. Don't tell me you snagged. What is this? Don't tell me you snagged. What did this thing do? Oh, hell no. Oh, he came up. Oh, you fucking...